Welcome, IT changemakers, to the DEX Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Do you know, listeners, how you can tell where Dex is going to hit next? It's where Tim Flower is landing, everybody. And Tim Flower is currently roundabouts landing nowhere other than the great nation of Japan. So I think that tells us that the great Dex revolution is about to hit Japanese shores, and Tim is out there spreading the word as Dex evangelist in chief. So it's a solo deck show again it's a solo deck show in terms of presenter once again, but I have a great guest from a great organization, Atos. We've had guest on the deck show down the years now, I'd say 3, 4, 5 times, but Mike McGarvey is a first time guest, and he's the global VP and digital workplace CTO at Atos. Great to see you, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Great to see you too.
We always have fantastic guests and topics of conversation from Atos, Mike. I have to say, bunch of smart people over there.
Well, we've been partnering with Nexthink for a decade now, and we really believe in the digital experience management revolution. It's part and parcel with everything we do.
Fantastic. And you just came from London, you said. You
I
just
did.
bounced from London and back. Where are you based?
I'm based in Pennsylvania, but it seems like I spend about a week in Europe, at least a month in Europe, being that about half our customers in the US, half our customers are in Europe.
What were you doing down here?
We were meeting with a potential client, talking about how we can bring digital experience management, including our Experience Operations Center, to help change the outcomes that they're looking for.
Well, I hope it was worth your while, but by all accounts, it was a bit of a hectic journey home, Mike. Right? So you're feeling a little gray around the gills, or a little green around the gills, in fact.
It's all good.
Excellent. You're a trooper. And I know we're gonna get stuck into something about we're gonna get stuck into discussing the Experience Operations Center that I think we Nexthink and Atos announced last year. Before we do, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role there.
Yeah, no, happy to. So interesting enough, today marks the 20th year anniversary from when I joined the company. And I started as a server technician, racking, stacking servers, building virtualization clusters, but spent the last 10 years focusing on everything digital workplace. And the biggest topic that I've been focusing on is digital experience management. So my role within Atos is that I oversee our strategy of where we're going, what we're doing, what we build, our research and development, our portfolio. And a great bit of that focuses on how we can help our customers change the employee experiences that they experience every day.
Mm, mm. And we're going to discuss a little bit the Experience Operations Center, but it's a funny thing, Mike. I've been hearing the last few weeks, in particular, a lot of talk about DEXOps. And I've just been kind of thinking that we really need to do a show where we investigate and explore this. I mean, to what extent would you say that the concept of DEXOps is really like the backdrop here for this sort of more concrete sort of suite of innovation that we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, at the end of the day, we think about digital experience management as ways where we can improve the employee experience about how they deal with every day to day. But at the core of that, it's about making the overall infrastructure more stable, taking out friction, eliminating issues, doing fleet management, and that leads to a more efficient and less costly operations. So it is a double-edged sword in which we can both benefit the employees, but also benefit the bottom line for our customers.
Superb. And so let's get into the basics around the EOC. No, it goes by XOC, doesn't it?
XOC.
XOC.
Yeah.
That's right. Get my acronyms right for a start. How does it differ conceptually, first of all, from a traditional service op setup or NOC, some kind of NOC or something like that?
Yeah, so when we think about traditional DEX management, there is the management of the digital experience management tool, of which is critical, and there's tons of capabilities built into the tool itself. But we think about this from a slightly wider perspective, right? There is other information which needs to be ingested and analyzed, and so we ingest information from ServiceNow, from contact centers, et cetera. And we've been doing this for years in something we call the Proactive Experience Center, which is taking a data-driven approach to eliminate issues in the environment, deliver XLAs, et cetera. And this was amazing. It worked out really well for us. Customers loved it. And then we saw the move to Nexthink Infinity. And the data we had before with the collectors and the rolling up everything, it sometimes took hours or 8 hours or et cetera to get all the data on the source we needed to. But now with Infinity, it's hitting the collectors in seconds, in minutes. We said, what could we do now that we're getting the data as it's being collected? And so that's where the concept of the XOC came from, right? So I think a lot of us are very familiar with the concept of a security operations center, the concept of a network operations center, where we're monitoring all the infrastructure all the time, and when something goes down, everybody's jumping on it, resolving the issue. But the workplace equivalent has never really indicated from a telemetry perspective. It's always been, hey, we've got an MI, or people are calling, or people are complaining, and we're reacting to it on a reactive basis. We wanted to change the script, wanted to flip the script and take what we did with the Proactive Experience Center and make it real time. Thus was born the Experience Operations Center, powered by Nexthink Infinity.
Well, let's hone in on that little detail then, shall we? Since we're a Nexthink sponsored podcast and everything, Mike, you've already mentioned the speed. What other aspects of a partnership or of a sort of Nexthink's tech is being leveraged so effectively in this context?
So I think it's really around the data, it's around the latency of it, but it's also how we've been able to kind of partner with Nexthink on exactly how we can gain access to the data, what data is being presented, but also be an innovation partner on even things like Nexthink Autopilot, how the two can kind of work together, right? On a proactive and preventative basis, the XOC helps bring an operations team looking at the data that's being analyzed and enhanced and correlated. We'll get to that a little bit later, but also on the other hand of how can we be more reactive? How can we, handle things that come up, but also handle things proactively and preventatively? So it's sort of a combination of all of the best things of Nexthink Infinity.
Amazing. And you described, I think, very well how technology is making is heightening the potential to make a difference, right? But in terms of the industry itself, why is now the right time for, if you will, an experience layer to be kind of more firmly inserted above IT operations? What shifted, do you think, in the mindset of customers over the last few years, creating a greater need?
Well, I think in my experience in talking with customers, which I talk to them all the time, there always has, and there always to some extent will be a conversation on return on investment, right? They want to see some level of return on the investment things they do, but there's a shifting conversation about return on experience or return on employee. How can we get more out of our most valuable assets, which are those employees? How can we make them more productive? How can we use less downtime? And then also aligning what we do from a DEX perspective towards business outcomes, right? So not just about IT outcomes, about speed to resolution, things like that, but actually, can we take what we're doing here with digital experience management and align it to the business outline? So now we're talking about different stakeholders, right? And I think that's where things are starting to change because it's now not just a conversation with the IT organization; it's a conversation with other parts of the organization.
Speaking of those organizations, how has the idea landed out there in the real world? Are we seeing much traction around this, much success so far?
Yeah, from an XOC perspective, we've seen a lot of traction. We launched it in November at Experience Everywhere, and since then we've got a bunch of clients that we're onboarding as we speak to the XOC, hoping to have a whole cohort of new clients this in Q3 and Q4 that are actually live on our solution. So we're very excited about that. The expectations and the excitement is very palatable, and we've already started talking about how we can extend this even further. So it's definitely resonated with the industry. When we explain the concept of the workplace operations center as it relates to the network operations center, it just clicks. Everybody gets it. They understand the concept. And when you explain that, they're like, why hasn't this existed prior? Right.
Yeah. Um, would you say are we speeding towards the end of the IT incident per se? And in your view, what does IT look like in a post-incident world?
It's a great question. I think the problem with incident is that incident means something has happened. It's an incident you have to react to, you have to respond to. And I think it's about arbitrage and trying to eliminate the creation of things. So when we think about the value proposition for the XOC, we're talking about fleet management, right? So when we take in data and we enrich it with meta information about where it's come from, and we're trying to draw correlation and search for instance, both things we've seen before and things we haven't seen before, we are trying to deliver fleet management. And at fleet management, if there are 1,000 devices that match the same criteria that we've seen a couple of failures on, if we can get in there early and either stop the reason for the cause or prevent the cause of the rest of the environment, we can actually truly become predictive in that we can predict where it's going to happen in the future. Now, if we think about that, we can see a dramatic reduction or elimination of incidents, right? So what does post IT, what does a post incident world look like? Well, I think the roles change pretty dramatically. IT can go away from serving and moving to a care model where the lower number of people are higher skill set, and when they do engage in IT, it's more akin to like a concierge type conversation. They're asking how to do things that can't be automated away with AI, things like that. So dramatic reduction in the volumes and a dramatic upskilling in kind of the talent you need to service what's ever remaining.
Are you seeing that in the places XOCs are kind of currently being rolled out? Are you seeing a sort of changing nature of the roles that constitute those departments?
Yeah, we've been working towards sort of a zero IT concept, zero service desk concept for years, and I think this helps accelerate towards that. And we kind of want to have it so the person who says hello when you pick up the phone, when you do actually call in, is more of that level 2 tech with high soft skills. We've been seeing that traditionally for a very long time. So we see the XOC is just accelerating us there. But by the way, so is generative AI, and so is agentic AI. So it's all of these things kind of coalescing. It's a very exciting time in digital experience management.
Certainly is, and you get the sense that there's including all those other forces, some deeper current of change, which is running through the workplace at the moment. You've got systems, as you just described, spotting patterns, solving issues before humans even notice. And, how is this going to, in time, impact the way we think as, broader sort of corporate entities about things like productivity, experience, leadership? Where do you see this going?
I think it's going to start to get into how do we think about the purpose of IT, right? And so how can we enhance different things? And one of the greatest examples I can think of is, one of the biggest problems we have with a lot of organizations is they buy all of these expensive products and the end users are never really able to use them. We have a digital dexterity gap. And so we think about, let's say, Microsoft as being one of the biggest investments. Vast majority of the people are still using Outlook and Excel and Word the most basic ways. But how can we identify that? How can we use the data to identify digital dexterity gaps and then take this new IT organization and focus on improving those digital dexterity, making that the next level of an XLA conversation about improving digital dexterity as just one example inside an IT organization. So looking at different ways you can enhance that, whether it's through organizational change management, whether it's through other forms of training, but to identify this need, come with solutions to resolve it, and then track the evolution of it over time.
And are you somebody who feels like this term workplace observability is kind of provides quite a kind of comprehensive definitional kind of potential term for this wider space, and maybe something that even captures more what is ongoing at the moment better than Dex, perhaps? I mean, are we seeing a shift in how we talk and even conceive about these capabilities?
I think so. I think workplace observability has some positive connotations, and some people have some negative connotations. Some people think of it as an invasion of privacy, and others think it as an enhancement. So you got to walk that fine line. But I do think that it is broadening the conversation. Digital experience management has been around for a little while now, and it has gone through a lot of evolution, and will continue to evolve on its core mission. But as it starts to go into these ancillary conversations, these ancillary topics, I think it broadens, and I think that the impact that can be had by the organizations is going to be 5x, 10x going down the road, right? When you get away from just the core technical reliability of the actual IT estate, and you start getting into the human assets, sky's the limit.
And this is an area I know you've seen an impact in, right? Employee experience often gets boxed into either HR or IT. Do you feel that this whole area of work is starting to connect the dots between those two traditional silos, um, uh, sort of fold one into the other, or create a kind of shared area of collaboration? What are your thoughts and observations here?
I think it comes with maturity. I think that it's true that as clients have matured their thinking, it is moving away from IT, it's including HR, but for the most mature clients, it's even going beyond that. We've had some conversations with business line owners, the production of whoever makes the widget or the service, asking about how could you help me do my core function? And that's going back to the conversation about aligning XLAs that we can deliver towards business outcomes. So if you have a large sales force and you're hiring a lot of salespeople, the time to productivity for those people is critical. How can we get them up and running? How can we get them picking up the phone, sending emails, getting them productive so you can grow, is something that we can help with. We can track the time, we can track the friction, and we can deliver on those type of things. And that's just one example, but suffice it to say, IT has been the core stakeholder for a while. HR has been the secondary stakeholder for a little bit. But it's starting to go into the business now. And I think that's where things are going to really get exciting.
Amazing. And look, we roll everything up for us then, Mike. I mean, we've spoken about so many things, but as this AI-powered observability continues to grow, um, beyond the next year or 2, 3, 4, 5 years, do we see IT evolve into something closer to what you might call behavioral science in the workplace? And understanding not just of systems, but of how people are actually working on an individual level day to day, being there on hand to assist them in whichever way is required, often through technology.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. And it's exciting that Nexthink, we were a partner with AppLearn before the acquisition. We're just
So,
a bigger partner with Nexthink with Adopt. So we're excited about using some of the data that's being collected there in a very anonymous way because we don't want to invade privacy.
yeah, of
But
course.
can we help? Can we use that to help us go into the behavioral analytics? Like, how are people actually using the applications? Are they using it correctly? Can we aid in either the UX design improvements, or can we aid into the digital dexterity gap that we talked about before? So I think absolutely we are seeing a changing of what IT is and going in the future.
So, if somebody's interested in exploring the XOC, why should they reach out and how should they reach out?
So very exciting time. I think that we were first to market with this, and we are bringing our first clients on now. It's the promise is clear, right? How can we keep an eye on what's going on? How can we react? And it's the reaction that, so if you observe it in real time, but you have no ability to take corrective action, it actually gets more frustrating because you're seeing the problem but you can't do it. So it's a combination of the two things. We have this new platform, and we have the service around it to actually react and address those issues. Um, I think it's a change in how workplace operates. Everything we talked about today, I think the XOC enables that sort of model and into the direction we want to go. Um, y- Please visit our website at atos.net, and we have an XOC page, and there's a contact page there. So please reach out to us that way. Happy to have a conversation, see if it's a good fit for you, for your company.
Fantastic. And you mentioned Mike launching the XSC experience in Boston last year, was it, or London?
Boston, yeah.
Awesome. Well, tickets are available now for both Boston and London, the Boston and London events in 2025. So please check the show notes, not only to give Atos website a visit and find out more about the XOC, but also to make sure you reserve your seats for the digital employee experience event, not just of this year, but of every year. Isn't that right, Mac?
Exactly, and we'll be there as well.
That'll be, of course, there too. I'll be there too. Mike, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And take care.
Thanks.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.